Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. In recent months I've looked at pre-pottery Neolithic sites from Turkey all the way down to southern Jordan, but one thing I really wanted to learn about is Cyprus, an island that's very much part of this region, close to Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan and Palestine, all of which were home to early permanent settlements during and after the Younger Dryas. We know from the fish remains discovered at Atlit Yam, a now submerged pre-pottery Neolithic site off the coast of Israel, that the ancient people did have boats. So, between 10 and 12,000 years ago, when sea levels were much lower, I have no doubt that Cyprus could have been reached. With that in mind, I've been looking into the prehistory of the island, and I have to say I was not disappointed with what I learned. And, in this video, I'll give you a brief overview. Before I go further, in October this year, I'll be going on what looks like a truly magnificent tour of ancient Turkey. The tour group will visit so many incredible sites, including Hattusa, the capital of the Hittite Empire, the incredible caves of Derinkuyu, the Neolithic and Chalcolithic site of Çatalhöyük, and two that I can't wait to visit, the enigmatic Karahan Tepe and of course Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe has been on my bucket list for years, and now I'll finally get to see it, and you can join me. If you want to come on this tour, bookings are now open, so please click the link in the description below or the pinned comment, and there you'll find the full details and a discount code, and then you can guarantee your place. Spaces are limited, so please be quick. Now, back to the video. During the cold climatic episode known as the Younger Dryas, we know that Cyprus was home to a wide variety of Pleistocene fauna, with animals such as pygmy hippos and pygmy elephants, and this biodiversity is probably down to a lack of hunting, aka a lack of people. But towards the end of the Younger Dryas, we know that hunter-gatherers had made it to the island, and we find a late Epi-Paleolithic site on the southern coast, and it dates to around 12,000 years ago. Two further sites have also been identified in recent years, and this shows that people in this remote time did travel and explore by sea, long before they domesticated crops and animals. But it's worth saying that recent radiocarbon dating also indicates that small bands of hunter-gatherers could have been on Cyprus even earlier. At the beginning of the Holocene, in what we call the late pre-pottery Neolithic A, when sites like Göbekli Tepe were in full operation, cereal cultivators made their first appearance on the island, with sites found at Asprokremnos and Klimenas. Apologies if I've said them wrong. These sites date back to around 11,200 years ago. Of course, it's likely that most of the sites in the pre-pottery Neolithic A would have been coastal, and hence they're now lying beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Even inland areas are heavily eroded or deeply buried by later alluvial deposits, so understanding the history of early Holocene Cypriot populations is no easy feat. But in the early 21st century, there have been many excavations and a number of key finds. For me, it's amazing to think that cross-sea migration took place at the same time civilization was beginning in the Fertile Crescent, but I'm not actually surprised, because the more I research this era of history, the more it's clear that people were well developed, skilled and accomplished at many things, and so it shouldn't surprise us with the known capabilities of humans. Around 10,500 years ago, during the pre-pottery Neolithic B, we see another larger wave of migration to Cyprus, and a large number of habitation sites emerged. These were long-lived permanent settlements and home to full farming populations, and it wasn't just the people that migrated, We know they also brought domesticated animals, the founding species of the Neolithic Euphratian farming model. They also brought barley, emmer, einkorn and pulses. The seeds and the animals were physically moved because we know the various species were not native to Cyprus. The early Cypriot villages also showed a high level of development. They were large and organised. They built elaborate deep water wells and made tools from flint, chert and obsidian, similar to what we see in settlements in the Euphrates basin, showing that early Cypriots likely came from this region marked here. The people that came to Cyprus 10,500 years ago were experienced farmers, builders, seafarers and toolmakers. And we know there must have been various waves of migration because settlements arose all across the island, probably originating from a number of coastal settlements on the mainland, sites that have now been swallowed up by the rising sea over the past 10,000 years. But why would people migrate to Cyprus and not just move inland? Well, with the sea gradually covering coastal areas, if a community had a strong seafaring tradition, Cyprus would have been an inviting island to spread to, away from the dangers of neighbouring inland settlements and predators. It's possible that for some people, inland areas were more unknown and posed more dangers than sailing across the sea to find a new home. Maybe people just simply wanted to explore, to spread and venture out to the unknown. We obviously don't know what drove people from the mainland to Cyprus, but we can speculate. During the pre-pottery Neolithic B, population sizes were growing and settlements were expanding, and we know that humans by our very nature are inquisitive. So, I'm not surprised that people ventured out to some unknown island, probably with somewhat exotic native plants and animals. Well, relatively speaking. The meticulous transportation of large groups of people and resources, including animals, does show considerable preparation, meaning the waves of migration 10,500 years ago were not after a sudden conflict or turmoil. It was deliberate and well planned, and one can only imagine the wooden boats that were built and how the people felt as they went to start a new life in a new world. There could have been stories, legends and even myths of people venturing out there before. Stories of the pre-pottery Neolithic A people that ventured out there 700 years before. There may have been some form of contact, existing relationships with the descendants of the first wave of migrants, and maybe there was a seafaring trade route. It's also possible the second wave of people came, saw and conquered. The possibilities are endless, and it's this unknown I love to think about, to imagine what was happening at the time. Questions that archaeology can't definitively answer with the information at present. What we do know from studying Cyprus is that people were mobile 10 to 12,000 years ago, and not just over land, but also across the sea, with a network of permanent settlements across the region. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.